Kumlan and Ablat Gemara. Today's daf is daf Tzadik Ches. And so the Gemara introduces a new concept now, and that is 4 lines from the top of the page. Tzadik Ches Amid Aleph. Amar Rabba. Rabba says Hazoidik is a concept called Garmi, and we sometimes Gemara use the word Grum. So we have our general rule: Ein Grum ben Zikin. By Zikin, if you are a cause, you didn't directly perpetrate the damage. You're merely a cause, you are potter. But there's another concept called Garmi. According to Rashi, there's absolutely no difference between Groma and Garmi. And Rab Meir, who says that Garmi, you're chayiv, holds Groma, you're also chayiv. So if we paskin that ain't Groma and Zikin, that means we also hold there's no Garmi. But most of Shem learn that Garmi is, even though it's a cause, but you find more directly related to it than Groma. So for example, if I take someone's check, and I throw it away, right? If I take someone's check and I throw it away, I just cause the person a loss. He can't collect the money there. And that's a pretty direct cause. I picked up the check and I threw it away. That's called Garmi. And by Garmi, according to these Rishonim, most Rishonim will say that Garmi, you are chayiv. And this, what we say, Ein Grom and Zikin, means when you're further removed. So now comes along Rabba and introduces a number of ideas based on this concept of Garmi. Amar Rabba says Rabba. I toss your coin into this Yam HaGadol, into the Mediterranean. Potter, you are potter. Why are you potter? My time, why are you potter? Omar, he says, wait a minute, I threw your coin in the ocean. This is Mamasha. This is not a Garmi. I'm a Mazik. Omar, we're talking about here. About see in a minute. You can go jump in the water and collect their coin. So we're talking about a case I'm going to explain. If you want, you take it. When can I have this argument? Only the water is crystal clear. The kochazla, you can see the water. If the water, if it's on the Yara River here, which is impossible to see what's going on there, then you directly cause a loss. Now, so what's the cause of it? The cause is as follows: the coin fell into the water, and it's retrievable. The problem is, so I didn't make a hezek. The problem is you don't know how to swim, or you need a diver who knows how to go into the deep water to collect it. So you have to pay someone. I didn't make you pay. That's a cause. So the cause is for you to be able to recover that coin. That's where the cause is, the grammar. But another thing is the adyaduye. I hit your hand from underneath, and the coin went flying. If I picked up my hand, true, I'm not a mazik, but I'm a gazlan. I took your money and I lifted it. Makes a gazlan. Hashava by mevet. I did a kinyan hagba. I lifted it up. So therefore, I'm a ganef. So forget there's mazik and there's ganef. That's a ganef. So we're trying to describe a case where you're not a ganef because you didn't do a hagba. You didn't lift it up. You knocked the guy's hand. So this long case over here discusses. We find sometimes hagba also if you just cause it to be lifted. It's already hagbah. In fact, this doesn't bring it, but we had in tradition that by an elephant, if you, according to some of the shaynim, when you put, how do you do hagbah by elephants? How you put a basket there and the elephant stands up, or they say if you make the elephant jump up, that's like hagbah. Other shaynim hold that's not good enough. But the Taisus brings everything more, but see in the beginning, where there's a talus sitting on a bench, and the other half of the talus in my hand, and if I give a yank, and the other half of the talus goes flying up, then I have now the whole talus, not just the part that's in my hand. I didn't lift it. Yeah, Mashiach is like both different things. Mashiach, we know if you hit it or if you call it and you make it move. But Hagbah, generally, it says about right here. It says right here that if I bang your hand, even though it causes the thing to go flying up, it's not Hagbah. So Traces over there says because you're holding on to one end b'shas ma'isa and the other end goes flying up. It's like it's not stam in the belt is going up. I'm holding on to it as it's going up. It's like I'm directly holding on to it. Or Traces says over here, the main thing is you want the coin to fall down. It goes up to go in order to go down. So therefore, that's not called hagbah. It's a weakness in the whole hagbah here. Plus, I'm not holding on to it. But over there, in other cases, I want to go up, so maybe it's different. Okay. Anyway, one more condition. So the two conditions. First of all, the coin has to be retrievable, and I caused it. I didn't do it directly. Otherwise, I'm a ganef. Mostly Rava. So now Rava. Interesting here. The Rava is going to challenge Abai must have been sick that day. He wasn't in school. So mostly Rava. Rob asked a question. It says, you cannot transfer the kedusha of Ma'aser Shein, let's say, onto money, which is not in your rishus. Ketzad, he had money in the kista. Kista like a bank. And there's a place that people used to store their money and deposit their money and was secure. So if you had your money stored in Kisra, Rashi says Kisra means a faraway place, and it's not accessible. Or in a place called Haramelech, or if your keys fell into the Yam Hagadol, seems even though it's visible, it seems that all the conditions, but the fact is it's not next to you. So we say it's not considered as if it's still sitting by me. So why you say he's potter? Amarabba Shainli Maisa is unique because the Torah says it has to be available next to your hand, that easily accessible. The Rahman Amar B'Tzarta Kesef, the Torah says clearly, you should bundle the money, the Yodcha in your hand. No, it has to be accessible. In the water, you can get to it. That's not really a Yodcha. But like, and here you don't have it. So Maisa Shain is unique. Another day in Hashaf examples of causations. If I go ahead and a coin is silver. But then they would have the tzura on the coin. What does the tzura on the coin do? And we had with Tzartani tzura. Tzura on the coin is like a stamp. Is like the government is saying, okay, I certify that this coin has that quantity of silver and it's worth so much. That's what the tzura does. But the silver is still the same silver. So what happens if I flatten out I don't take away any of the silver, but I take a hammer and I bang at the tzura and I flatten it out. So now you need to go ahead and get it certified again or do something. It'll cost you money. But I didn't cause you any direct loss. I caused you indirect loss that you have to go pay money. Potter. My time at the level let me to do anything. All I did was I took a hammer and I flattened it out. But if I went ahead and I basically, I took a filer or something and I shaved off the tzura. So basically I peeled off some of the silver. That's a different story. Then that's a direct loss. Then I have to reimburse you. So the concept of that the Rabbah is espousing here is that a causation, even a direct causation, you are patek. I mean, you're patek. Mostly Rabbah won't let him alone. He says to him, it says, if you hit him on his eye, with someone, you blinded him, you made him deaf, free. But if you bang the wall or something next to him, and as a result, I became blind. You got so startled by it or something, or if we know you no longer see, the Shemay doesn't hear. The Eved does not go free. Eved does not go free. What do we see from here clearly? I hit you in the eye, you're blinded, but the eye is still the same. I didn't make any chsaron. I just caused you that you should become blind. It's like a coin. The silver is exactly the same silver as there before, but now it has no value because the tzura is gone. It's not it's not anymore a currency that's in use because people don't trade a piece of silver; they trade coins. So the same thing. I blinded you. The eye is still there intact. Just now you can't see anymore, or I made you deaf. No, according to the rabbi, I should be potter, even if I directly hit your eye or ear. My answer is we already had it before as well. Rabba said. If you had made your father deaf, you get killed. Why? It's only make a chabura if you made him bleed. Definitely internal bleeding. Exactly. So therefore, there is a chsaron here. There's bleeding. But we have another day. For us, remember Rashi we had a few weeks ago. Rashi Tzodim means like we're talking about you paying money penalties for embarrassing. One of the Tzodim is giving a pull. Here, when it comes to an animal, it definitely means you give a nick. It's interesting why Rashi really decided to change the pshat of Tzodim. Use the same word that by a person you humiliate him and just give him a pull. They got to already pay $400. Yeah, you gave a nick. So he makes a mum. So what's wrong with this animal? Now, nothing wrong with kashrus, but you cannot be using him as bech. So what happens? You could buy another animal. So what am I doing? I'm causing you to spend more money to buy another animal. I didn't directly damage this animal because the animal still has kosher and it can be sold. It doesn't lose any value on the marketplace, but no value because you cannot use it for carbon. You need to buy another carbon. I'm causing you to buy another carbon. That's called a cost. The animal itself does not lose any value. I tell you what, my time, but part of it, the animal's still intact. Nothing happened to the animal. But not every shayir is being bought. In fact, the vast majority of oxen that are sold in the marketplace are sold for work, for shechita, not for the mizbeach. So I didn't cause you any loss directly, indirectly.
Instead of Pesach in Yerushalayim, when everyone's buying sheep, l'shem korbanis, not l'shem anything else.
True, but it's too late now because once you make a rule, the rule applies everywhere. Masiv Rava. Rava asked, Another question. It says, if somebody does a malacha, the water of the chatas that you can use, you now do any malacha with. Or the paras chatas, you're not allowed to use the part you asked us yesterday, the paraduma at all. Potter medini other chayd in the shemayim. You potter medini other. Why? Because the heading malacha the laminker hazek. These are examples because it's not nikah the hezek. You don't have to pay. Sounds like abul tzaydim. But that's in the case you gave a nikah the minker zeka, where it's recognizable the hezek. Now, what's a paradum being used for in the parabara? For a carbon. So it seems like the contrast is well, the only reason why you put it is because it's not evident, self-evident the damage you did. But if in a place where it would be evident, you would be chayiv. You just said that if you ruin the animal, cannot be a carbon. I'm potter because I'm only a cause. Here, I ruined the water of the chatas, or the chatas are being used as like a carbon chatas or a carbon, paraduma. And yet, it says here that you're chayiv. Ami said you make your deek is incorrect. Who adin the field chain and potter, even if you nick the air, also your potter. So why do we use an example here of ruining something which is hezek shaynikir? The chiddush is not that you're potter. The chiddush is you're still chayiv in shemayim. How come I feel malach leminkir hezek chayiv in shemayim? You still have to be charged chayiv shemayim. Taisha says clearly that the Gemara's question was not from para aduma. It's from the water. Because paraduma is such a rare thing, and in that story of Dama and Sinner, it's such a rare thing to have an animal that has all those red hairs, not more than one black hair, and so on. That definitely this is going to be used for paraduma if you find one. That would be a loss. It's the water. There's plenty of water available. The water, all this is water. Does he about Kelly? Another thing. If I burned your starter, so now you cannot collect. Potter. What did I do? I just burned a piece of paper. No, boss. As a result of that, you cannot collect. That's a grammar. That's a garmi. Maskala, Rami, Bachama, Hekla. But we're talking. You can say the Idu witnesses who read the paper who know exactly what it says. Rewrite it. What's the big deal? No loss here at all. You might have a bishtar. Let him write. Start him out. You let him write a proper start. If the agent remembers, not a problem with being they're doing it on their own memory. Either like a sadi, if there are no witnesses or the witnesses are not around, so how can you charge? What are you going to charge? We're talking about a case here where Machlekes have learned either that the person who did the damage, so I trust him what it says it, but still I didn't do anything wrong, I just a cause, or the person who's the victim says I trust this guy here, that that if he says whatever he says we'll pay. I don't think I understand here is if the guy, the owner of the star says, buddy, there was $100 in that check, and that star he owed me, and the perpetrator says, and we don't know what it says, so it's a body b'shema. Why is it different than a body b'shema? But over here, yeah, but that's the general. But we had in Ksuvah a few base. So we had a machlek the body b'shema to take out of a cheskes mama, because here, what's the body b'shema doing? You're gonna write a star, and I'm gonna extract money from this third party. So a body b'shema. It's interesting that you. Why don't we just ask the borrower? So how much you owe him? Unless the borrower says, I don't know anything. Now that there's no document anymore, I don't know what he's talking about.
But if he's minded to something,
Anyway. This whole concept, Rabba, whether your causation, your chayv or not, is the machlekes of Shimon Rabban. Remember, Reb Shimon, we had a thing the idea of davar hagoyin l'mam kamam. We had it in a few places already. If you set aside a carbon and you say harei alai, I take it upon myself, which means if the carbon dies, I got to bring another carbon. So this animal, while it's still here, even though I made it a carbon, is a goyin l'mam. Because if I lose this carbon, I got to spend more money. So this animal, I have a tie to this animal right now, because even though this animal doesn't belong to me, belongs to Hegdish already, but because it's a goyim lemamen, it's considered mine. So if you're a mazikit, you have to pay. So the chayda, that's the idea of causation. Isn't that exactly what garmi is? And the chum who don't agree, they don't believe that take causes you money, but garmi is indirect cause, you have to pay. So that's the same machlekes. So the Gemara, l'chayda hoda rabba machlekes sherabani tan Reb Shimon is Rama davar l'mam gemam l'mechayev l'rabban davar l'mam l'mechayev. That's exactly the same machlekes. He's maskif la Rav Huna Berei Rav Yeshua. Hey, no. Comes Rav Huna says, I don't think you can bring it any similar from the between Rav Shimon and Rabbi Abanan and the concept of Rabba Bagarbi. And why is that? When does Rav Shimon use an example, this principle that something which can cause me a loss of money, therefore it itself is the Dover Girl Mammon? It itself has an inherent value. Before you made it a carbon, this animal was worth money. This animal itself was worth money. Then I made it hegdish, so now it's no longer mine. But because it's a goy in the moment, if I lose this animal, I got to buy a new animal. So therefore, we say, look, it continues what it originally was. But in the case of the star never was inherently worth money. It was a piece of paper. It was always a piece of paper. Who said Rav Shimon holds that the Dover Goy moment applies in that case? This is purely the case of Garmi, of Rabbah, totally unrelated to Rav Shimon Rabbanan. And in this case, even Rav Shimon might be made your potter because it never had real value. What did I do? I just destroyed something that represents value, but it itself has no value. It's a piece of paper. What I did was I caused you now indirectly a loss, or even directly, but it's a cause. So, Kid Rabba, for example, Rabba said, you stole chametz before Pesach. Now, chametz before Pesach has value. A bottle of whiskey, it has value. And then if somebody comes along and during Yom Tov and burns it, Rashi holds Moed means right after 12 o'clock. When the Yom Tov kicks in, Potter, you are Potter, everyone has a mitzvah now to destroy the chametz, so he didn't cause you any loss. But now that it's chametz over Pesach, which is no longer a mitzvah to destroy, it's mahatreit, it's mutter, it's only midrabanan and Abshim and Paskins, we penalize you, only midrabanan. So after Pesach, a guy comes over and destroys it. What happens then? So the machlekes, because what happens if the bottle of whiskey still exists and we learned before? I can say to you, Hareshul Chalafnech, take your bottle back. If you hold that, you can give back the Surinah. It's the same bottle I took. So if you now destroy the bottle, you cause me I have to buy another bottle. That's a dover hagoy l'mammon. That's the machlekes because there it has inherent value. So machlekes you just caused me a loss, and the potter. But something which has no intrinsic value. Who said that Rav Shimon holds that's a double girl moment and therefore it's considered money? No. And that's why Rabbah can go according to everyone. Omar Meme comes along and says, Man the doyin dinner de gami magbi beit meshamalia. If you believe in the principle of Garmi, and Garmi is chayiv, as opposed to Groma, which is Rameir, then you're chayiv. And the one who doesn't believe in Garmi, all you get is a piece of paper, and that's it. There was an incident. So therefore, you might have to pay, according to the mayor, if you hold Garmi, you still have to pay for the paper, because that's what you destroyed. And according to, if you hold Ginigami, then you have to pay. Sorry, according to the Chachamim, you have to pay only for the paper. According to the Rameh, you pay for the entire contents of the star because you caused me a loss. More tells a fascinating story. Havi Uvdu, there was an incident with Kafir Rafram, Ravashi. Ravashi burned somebody's star, and Rafram Paskin, Ravashi has to go ahead and pay the Agbe, and he collected from him Kushura Lutzalma, like those beams that are ready to make pictures on them. In other words, the premium. Now, can you imagine Ravashi need to be schlepped to the Torah to pay? Oh, so is this bothered Rashi? How is it possible that Ravashi had to? First of all, how much Ravashi would burn somebody's star? And then they had to be taken to the Torah.
It was a childhood game. It
was a game. So Rashi says here that he did it as a child. That's what bothered Rashi. Now, in Simishin Mem Gimel Narchaim, the end of the Ramah, fascinating Ramah, he says that if you did things while you were a kid, we had before a Mishnah, because if they cause damage, they are potter. So what's going on here? Rashi makes a big chiddush. Rashi is saying that he committed damage while he was a kid, and Rafa took him to court when he became an adult and forced him to pay. When the Mishnah clearly said you're a potter, so someone to learn, the Orzru wants to learn that that's tak halacha. When the Mishnah said Pegi Yasser is while they're a child, which is very difficult to understand. Because when it came to Noshim Avodim, we say that also bad news. But eventually, if they become divorced or ever becomes free, they have to pay. And yet we say it's not so bad. And by cotton, we say it's total bad news. What do you mean? Cotton, the same thing. When he reaches a certain age, he has to pay. So in Shulchan Aruch and Ramah, in the end of Simon Shimon Gimel says that a cotton even though you are potter and you're not and you don't have to avodas, you're exempt. But when you get older, you should do tshuva for chatas neurim. And his source will be right here. And therefore, the Taz there beautifully explains that maybe the pshat here is that the betzim a child is potter. Once you're an adult, you're potter. But they coaxed him. You should behave with him as adin. And kafi doesn't mean he forced him. Kafi means he convinced him with words. Actually, kafi means he cajoled him. It's still hard to understand. Rav Ashi needs to be cajoled. We'll have a gemara in the end of Perek Hum about Rav made this Rabbi Bar Chana pay. He hired workers to carry from a barrel of wine. They broke the barrel of wine, and then Rav made them pay them for their work, even though they destroyed it, and pay them for the clothing that got dirty. Everything. And he asked constantly, "Is that the halach? What kind of halach is that?" He says, "Look, you got to do the right thing." So the same thing here, that he could hold and pay for the chatanur, but the Neidim Yehuda writes in a tshuva. I can't remember if he uses this Gemara, but he says that when we say a child is potter, is only while you're a child. Will aveis. Once you become adult, when you're doing Shuvah and Yom Kippur, have in mind all the aveis you did when you were a kid. Oh, let's continue. In the Mishnah says clearly, you have comments, you give it back. You say, even though now it's worthless, if it's the same bottle, you can say, even though it's Osabana and so on. Mantana, I mean, who's the one who holds that Yisuri Hano, you can still say, if you hold Yisuri Hano, means there's nothing, it's not mine anymore, what am I giving back? But if you hold that Yisuri Hano means still mine, but you have no use, I can give it back. Who's the Tana? That's Rabbi Yaakov. Tana, we learned, Shoy Shahemi is a Shoy that committed, killed someone. The din is we bring it to Bezdin, and once Bezdin rules that the Shoy has to be killed, it's also Bana. But so this opinion says, before the Bezdin yet ruled, if your sale is a valid sale, because it's still yours. And then you'll be potter from the Bezdin, because he said it has to be an owner all the way through. The Shema gave it back to the owner, moves it, even though the animal is about to be sentenced. But he at the moment it's mutabana. Once Bezin decided that it has to be killed, which means stone, that it's totally asa bahana, then his sale is not valid. Hegdesh and mugdish is not hegdish. Chote basara also you're not allowed to eat it. He can't give it back to the owner because what did you give back? It's already asa bahana. Rabbi Yaakov says, "Af mishin nigma dina by shaynis," because even Gemardin hechzir shem lebayla mugz, he can give it back to the owner. Say, "Here, take it back." No, even though it's osabano, he's saying you can give the shor back. So we see clearly he holds it osabano. It sounds like he holds how you can say areishul cholafanech, and he's the author of our Mishnah by chametz to give it back because osabano is not, it's still mine. Something's still there. But my lab, how come if it's not the argument of Yaakov said, "You do say you can take it back," and but the somebody ain't no. Not necessarily so. Maybe Kuli Alma Marina and Bisur know how to everyone holds you can say and they're arguing only in the case of Sharnisko. And the only answer is why Sharnisko different we'll see in a minute. Because if they hold that's a general principle, they're arguing, can you give back? Why talk about a case of Sharnisko? Why don't you mention Chametz and Pesach? Much more common. Why don't you discuss the case of Chametz and Pesach? They're only arguing the case of Sharnisko. Why should I be indifferent? The argument is, do you need the owner of the show to be the present or not? That's the argument here. The Gemara, what do you want? The Rabban hold ain't going to show the fun that no, that do you need the shoy present as well? Do you need the shoy present in the bezin when you sentence the shoy? So and that's machlekes or not? And it goes as follows: the balabas says to the shoy, if you would have brought it to me before the psak, I would have sent away the shoy somewhere, who knows, somewhere out in the wilderness, and they couldn't paskin, and the animal will be all right. You ruined it. Is hashed the now that you gave it the man the you gave it to the hands of the business. It's too late. We can't fight anymore. So therefore, you ruined the animal. That's what the Chacham is saying. Why he cannot return the animal now after psak? Because he said you are mamash amazikir. Rabbi Yaakov holds grain in the kingdom. Rabbi Yaakov said no, that even without the animal. So the Shomer says to the guy, look, this is the halach. You would have been found guilty regardless of whether I gave you the shirt. You can hide the shirt or not. Anyway, you would have been found guilty. So therefore, take your shirt back. So have a gamla dinner shloim b'fanav. Ashkei Rav Chizda Rabba Shmuel Amalei Met Rabba Bashmul Amalei Tunis Midi B'Suri Anah. Did you learn anything about a Suri Anah? So he was looking for a brisa or something that argues regarding Chametz of Pesach to say that the author of our Mishnah that Chametz of Pesach is that Tana. So he asked him, "Do you know anything at all about the Yisur Anah?" And the Rabbanon who hold that you don't say by Yisur Anah would argue. But Gemara Amalei, he says, yes. He says, yes, I have a brisa. Then he learned the hatred like Matamalei Masha Gozel Yachs against you got to get back to the same condition. The Khan Amru Gozel Madbevin, if so you stole coins and it got ruined. Paid it, keep it rotted away. Yayin Hech became sour. Tunu V'Nikmas. Chometz V'Olav a Pesach. One example is Chometz V'Olav Pesach. Behem of Benevla Baveda was bestiality or Aveda. B'Shoyed Atchaloi Nigma Dinoi. Oimeloi Shechol Fanecha. He says clearly here, Harei Shechol Fanecha. Now, Man Shammah, who's the one who says that you can say Asher Harei Shechol Fanecha? Man Shammah leid the Amar Atchel Nibadin in Mishnibadin Eloi. Who's the one who makes a distinction by Asher in this? Because the Rabbanon. And yet it says clearly here the Chometz of Pesach Shechol Fanecha. It says clearly here that you do say Shechol Fanecha. Rav Chizda was trying to say that the author of our Mishnah is a Das Yochid Rabbi Yaakov because the Chacham would hold Asher you cannot give it back. In this brayse, it seems clearly that even the Rabbanan say that when it comes to chametz, since it's not noticeable, the hezek, you can say Harei Shechol Fanecha, which is not what Rav Chizda was trying to say. He was trying to say our mission is a das yachid, a single alone opinion. The Amalei, Rav Chizda said to do me a favor. Imish kachas lehu, if you meet any of my students, like tembla midi, don't say a word about this brayse.
It's not the first time we have such an answer.
And look what Rashi says. You know why you shouldn't say it? Look at our 3 lines at the bottom. Mishum the Chodu, they will be happy. They'll be happy that I lost the argument. What kind of students does he have there? Yeah, but nowhere does it say I'm happy that you guys lost the argument. Let's go to there's Mishnah paid the kibui, paid it right away. But there it is. So the Brisa said that even fruits that rotted away, it is noticeable. You can say that you can. But now it says now Mishnah paid is that it's a shinui, it's yours, and you have to pay back the original price. I'm gonna pop it up. It says can she kiva kulam, can she kiva mixas. If they all rotted away, it's a shinui. You cannot give it back. You got to pay. But if some of them rotted away, you can still sell with most of it. You can give it back. Let's just do the Mishnah. Nosan leumnin. Actually, we'll start tomorrow because that's we'll lose track. Okay.